Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 483, and this week we're doing a triple dip. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Darfox8.
Hello, everybody.
Morgana Santilli.
Howdy.
And Seamus2389.
Hello.
Hello. We have the whole group here. It's ready to do our podcast. We're essentially a book club for manga. I feel like I haven't said that in a couple weeks. But yeah, we're looking at 3 different manga for a triple dip today. That'll be our main segment. And before I forget, I've written down here that I should mention the coffee. So I want to thank everyone who helps support this podcast by going over to our Manga Machinations coffee page and buying us a coffee. Thank you so much for supporting us. Big shout out to Philip, who helped complete our donation goal to do a Psycho selection on Berserk. That'll be coming in February, so next month. Look forward to that. Also shout out to Manga Machu, Vicky Dalton, and Lulu for helping to fund our Ooku Inner Chambers goal. We mentioned last week that that's probably going to happen maybe in June, July-ish. So look forward to that then. And big shout outs to the people who have supported us in the past. That includes Deluid, Jen, Mia, Dr. Meltface, Liquidus002, Wyatt, Poor Mexican 72, and Xteen. If you want to buy us a coffee, head over to Manga Machinations. No, wait. That's our website. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. I'm reading on the card that Darfox posted on our stream. Because we are streaming our recording over on our YouTube channel. youtube.com/mangamactv. Make sure you check out those. You get to see Darfox on cam. Sometimes he shows up some fun stuff. Oh, there he is. Wearing his classic Kaiji shirt. He got the nice mood lighting, because now you got more lighting in your room.
Yes, different options for lighting.
Looking nice. You got your ginger ale, your Canada Dry we're talking about before we hit the record button.
It's right here. It's almost done. I'll have to deal with this until our break time.
We had a quick conversation on different types of ginger ale and ginger beer and the difference. Darfox is maybe going to go track down some Fever Tree ginger beer. I warned him it's expensive, but it's very good. It's probably the nicest ginger ale I've ever had.
I'll save up money. In stream, I might look taller than normal. And it's because my office chair broke, and I'm using just like one of my dinner table chairs. And I'm leaning to my side so you can probably see the backrest.
I saw you post that photo.
Here, I'll bring it up.
You have it nice and ready? Okay.
No, but I can get it ready right now.
Don't worry about it.
And there it is.
Yeah. That sucks, because that kind of break, you can't do anything else about it.
Alright, there it is. So this is one of the legs with the wheels, and it's just, I don't know what material it is, but it's that really hard, like chairman, the leg material, and it's just like, I could still sit in it, but this is gonna keep cracking and breaking.
No, you should not sit in that.
Until one day
that's
it's
dangerous.
just gonna this is gonna hit directly to the floor. But yeah, I was sitting on it last night, and I was feeling it different. I was like, is my chair broken? And I was afraid that like the piston was like crooked somehow underneath like the chair. And I lifted up. I was looking at it, like, it looks all fine down here. And then I looked right next to my face, like, oh, it is actually like one of the legs broken. So like that was like offsetting my whole sitting experience, and I knew something was off instantly. But yeah, thankfully I could use other chairs.
Your chair was really expensive, right? You bought like a refurbished office.
It was kind of expensive. It might be under warranty. I might be able to contact them.
Yeah, I think has it been more than a year?
No.
Yeah.
Because I got it soon before I moved, and I didn't move a year ago.
Yeah, because I got my new refurb chair from the same place, and I'm pretty sure there's like you can have it for a year under. You can return at any point within a year. But if it's broken like that, they might also be able to do something for you.
Yeah, I mean, they might just be able to send me a whole new like base of the chair, which will be nice. I'll see. It's just funny thing. I did not expect it to break there. There's other places I expected it to break, but yeah, it just
Yeah, I mean, although they don't replace that part. They replace all the cushions and everything, but the base is probably the same old one.
yeah. The website we buy from yeah, they replace, like you said, all the cushions and anything that's like cloth, because that could accumulate human gunk and that kind of stuff, so it'd be gross to like ship it to a new person. But anything that's like solid or part of the base, they just make sure it's working. So it's possible this had like tons of wear and tear before I got to it, or it's possible that I just was leaning so far back on it that I just cracked it. Because I've been leaning on this boy.
You're leaning last night while you're cackling it up.
Yeah, no. At that point, I was on my bed. I wasn't
Okay.
on my chair at that point.
We won't get into that story. It's fine. Okay. I have an email here from Tyler from Germany. It is titled "Chapter Cover or Spread." Let's read this. What is the best chapter cover or spread ever seen in Western comics or manga? And yes, Western comics also do volume spread, but mostly a modern Europe comic thing that younger creators do now. We try to be like manga some reason now. Okay, thank you for your email, Tyler. I read so much manga and I read it so fast. I don't really have like. That's not something like I think in my head. It's like, oh yeah, that was like the best, you know, 2-page spread. Recency bias. Last week we read Henkaipan. That had some amazing 2-page spreads. So I'd probably pick one of those. But Morgana, you have anything that comes to mind when you think of like chapter cover or spread?
No, I mean same. I feel like I've seen so many. I guess I think this is maybe not the best, but something that comes to mind right away is the like color chapter art from Sakuran by Moyoko Anno. Basically, I think any artist who's like kind of distinctive, they usually have pretty neat chapter. I love chapter covers that have like nothing to do with the actual chapter. Like, let's dress our characters up like Alice in Wonderland or some shit. Like, it has nothing to do at all with anything. The '90s were really good for that.
Mm-hmm.
Clamp did that a lot. Yen just re-released Tokyo Babylon, the Clamp title, and in the front there's some color art. It's just like completely random, just the characters in cool clothes. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. I love stuff like that.
Yeah, that's always great. I don't know if anyone in particular comes to mind. Starfox, you have any?
This one isn't like my favorite manga ever, and I don't think it's my favorite 2-page spread, but it's one that stayed with me for a long time. And this is random. Remember the Laughter at the End of the World book? I think that's what it's called.
Yes.
About
Yes.
like the demons that inhabit people's bodies, but they leave a mark on the body. That's how people could
This is a
know.
manga by Tanabe Yellow, who's famous for doing Kekkaishi in Weekly Shonen Sunday.
There was a section in that manga that towards the end of the manga, I think it was the origin story of how the main characters got touched by the demons or
We're
something.
talking about the demon like invading like the ocean town, right?
Yeah,
That big 2-page spread. Mhm.
basically a demon swallowing a whole town in one go, like a giant demon. I remember being like a very cool scene, like a big reveal. It's like this is like the horror of like, these beings that can, just eat us up in one gulp. That was very good. Tons of Junji Ito stuff. probably one of Jujutsu probably over like pound for pound probably have like the most famous like page spreads and reviews. Naoki Urasawa, very famously, he does 2 page spreads, but he mostly does 1 page spreads. And is a lot. He does one of his repeated gimmicks is that he does a chapter introduction where he introduces a new character in a new chapter, and then there's that reveal where you see the page and it's like this new character and it has their name on screen. A lot of times it's like or on page. A lot of times that's their name. I'm the one I'm thinking about specifically is Mr. Grimmer. Was that his name from Monster? Or was it Mr. Grimm?
I forget the exact name.
But he was a character that kind of had a connection to some of the orphanages, and he was basically kind of like an investigative person. And yeah, it's kind of like a shady past. You don't know what the deal. You don't know if he's good guy, bad guy, and
Oh, the smiling guy.
yeah,
Oh yeah. I think you're right. It's Mr. Glimmer. Yeah, and he was an investigative journalist.
yes, and that was a repeated thing that especially in Monster that he would use, where he was just like, you're hearing somebody talk or somebody's talking to somebody, but you don't see the person for 2 or 3 pages. Then finally you turn the page and it's like a full page portrait of this character, and it's like, okay, this guy is important. At least he's gonna be important for the next few chapters. Pay attention, kind of thing. That's oddly enough, that's the stuff that stayed with me the most.
Okay, Seamus, you have any covers, chapter covers, or don't you really like the Dorohedoro chapter covers?
Oh, yeah.
There was a couple of them in particular, yeah, from like, 'cause I think that, and there was a few from Chainsaw Man. I think the Chainsaw Man was like the one. There's like those 2 where it's like they're in the alley.
Yep.
What was the Dorohedoro one? I think it was like a chapter one. There was a couple of them. I'm trying to remember why. I can't know. I think it's something to do with like one of the earlier chapter ones, kind of like hints when you reread it and you know kind of where Dorohedoro goes. You're like, oh, I get this now. I can't remember what it was.
Don't recall.
Might have been about the whole muck, the whole
I think it
the tar
was.
bait.
Yeah, because I think I was like going through some website that had like I think it was like the Dorohedoro wiki, so you could like go through all the chapter pages, and I was like going through them all, and I was like, oh wait, I just spotted something. Yeah, there was a few of them that were pretty cool. And I don't know in terms of I can't think of a 2-page spread, but I could think of I don't know how many page spread. But the Frank Miller Lynn Varley comic Ronin has like a pull-out spread. It's like 4 pages. But I can't even remember what exactly it's about. But that was a comic that had some like incredible art. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's probably pretty good.
All right.
Or, I don't know, there's probably some like Mike Magnola Hellboy cover issue that I'd be like, oh yeah, that's great.
Oh yeah. You reminded me. Once upon a time, they published Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind in single issues, and the first 3 or 5 issues have a pull-out spread at the front, full color by Mobius, and those are really, really great, really beautiful. I have those issues. I've got very lucky. Picked up all the single issue Nausicaa through Comicopia years ago. So those are fun. I think of a lot of like art at the beginning of volumes more than I can remember like chapter art, because I don't read manga by chapter usually.
Yeah. If you read on a volume, you're just reading it like. I think I'm the only person here that reads. Well, no, I guess that's not true. Darfox, you read new chapters of Chainsaw Man, but everyone else reads by volume. I mostly read chapter to chapter because I still look at the magazines.
A bunny cartoon in the chat.
Hey, Dawn, what's up? Glad Dawn is here. I'm going to talk about a manga that I think she's going to enjoy. But yes, let's wrap up that email from Tyler. Thank you for your email. Again, if you want to send us some questions or any comments or anything, send it over to our email, which is mangamachinations@gmail.com. All right, let's move along to some what you been reading. Okay, why don't I just get started? Since Don is here in our chat, I want to talk about a manga that I think Don will love. And I think, Morgana, you will love it too.
Oh boy.
So I found this manga. It is called Debu to Ravu to Ayamachi to, which is by Mamakari. And I just found out that this manga is available in English
Oh.
on Manga Plaza, which I checked to make sure it's not a Manga Pookie site. It's not a Scanlation site. And yeah, the English title that they have here is Plus-Sized Misadventures in Love. Apparently it's getting a official anime, so that's exciting. There was a live-action drama that they did last year. But the series starts this woman who is on the plus size, named Yumiko. She apparently had a hard life, but at the beginning of this manga, she had an accident. And she wakes up in the hospital. And she looks at herself in the mirror and she's like, "This is me? I'm so cute!" And so yeah, she has amnesia and she can't remember what happened. And apparently in the past she did not like how she looked. But now she has made a 180 and thinks she is the best and so hot and so cute. And she's completely changed her personality to be super positive. And it changes her life as an office worker. She makes friends, has success at work. There's the hot guy that Darfox is scrolling through, which is the new, I think he's the new president of the company. New hot young president, and befriends him. And yeah, lots of things are happening, but also there's this added mystery of like, how did she get harmed in the first place? And as you read and get through the romantic comedy stuff, you're also trying to find out, what led to the accident where she was injured and changed her personality. Darfox, you're showing the rival girl. There's always the rival girl at the beginning. Future friend. What do you think, Morgana? How does this sound?
Sounds adorable. Sounds like
It
a lot of
is
fun.
adorable.
Yeah.
There's that Amy Schumer movie that's kind of similar in plot. I Feel Pretty. Do you guys know about that movie?
No.
It's like the exact same plot. Like, Amy Schumer has an accident, and before she was like very insecure, and then suddenly she thinks she's super positive and she's super into herself.
I watched a really fun Japanese TV drama years ago about a I think she worked for a travel agency. This woman who is plus size. Was she played by, I can't remember the name of the comedian now, the Japanese comedian. Naomi Watanabe. I think it was
Yes,
her.
I remember you talking about this.
Yeah, that was really cute, but there definitely was some like gentle, fat, shamey jokes at her expense. But
There's
she
a
was
little
great.
of that in this, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
she was
similar.
great and lots of fun. I loved that show a lot.
Oh, Darfox pulled up the live action drama.
Oh, that looks fun.
Mm-hmm.
She is cute though. She's super
Yeah.
cute.
And so this series is still ongoing, but I read like 6 volumes of it, and I really enjoy it. It's nice to read a fun romantic comedy that is positive.
Especially about big people.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a risky one.
You're gonna play that? That's for the final. No, don't play that, Dar.
Wait, that's like the final scene or something?
Yes, that's a preview for the final episode. No, wait.
Well, might as well. I thought it was a trailer.
Yeah,
The
it was,
story
it
is
was
so
it was the next time on like the final episode of. But yeah, I just found out as we were podcasting and recording because I was trying to find a link to a shareable sample pages of this, and then yeah, it's available in English on Manga Plaza. I did not know that. Now, obviously, I haven't read that version. I read the Japanese, but I would recommend this manga for people to check out. I very much enjoyed it.
ARG Bombshell in the chat. Hello and welcome.
Okay, I have one more thing to talk about. In our Discord, our Manga Mac Discord, I was talking with Vicky Dalton because she just got all her hands on Nagatakabi books. She's going back through our old episodes, and she made a comment. Strong wombs talk at the beginning of this episode. And I was like, well, I'm going to go buy Womb's Cradle and talk about wombs again. We're bringing it back, Dar.
It's time.
It's time to bring Wombs back by Yumiko Shirai.
We're still trying to manifest this one, so
You know, you're on fire though. Like the last, I don't know, 6-7 months, you've mentioned a couple things that Yen
Go,
has
Go, Go,
published.
Ghost? Is that what you're talking about?
Go 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 Ghost, and also Lord Hades, Ruthless Marriage. You mentioned that a while ago. I have no. I truly do not know anything about wombs, but just keep talking about it. You never know.
Wombs is hard because it's such an old series at this point.
Yeah, but people are publishing older stuff.
I know, it could still happen.
We just republished Tokyo Babylon, like I said, which is from the 90s, so...
So the problem is Wombs is an older science fiction series by Yumiko Shirai that we would not shut up about on this podcast because it's so good. It is so good. It is a war story and science fiction because it takes place on alien planet. But there's a faction of humans who are fighting against. They're called the Second because they were the second group to come here, and the Seconds are basically AI like people. They're like Terminators. And they're in a war, and the human side they're using alien organisms and putting them in women's uteruses because that grants them the ability to teleport. And so they become teleportation soldiers, and that's how they are turning the tide of war. And it's a story that Yumiko Shirai made when she was pregnant with her child, and it is awesome. It is so fucking good. Like, unfortunately, it ended in 5 volumes because it ran in Ikki magazine. It's the same magazine where Dorohedoro ran. Dorohedoro found a new home, but Wombs did not. So it ended before Yumiko Shirai was able to do, like, a story that she wanted to, which was about, like, the beginning of, like, the birth of, like, the teleportation soldiers. So, she was able to do a series online for Comic Action, Womb's Cradle. It's a 2-volume set, and I just read it this week. In fact, I just read it last night, and I was up till like 1 a.m. reading it, and I was like, this is so fucking good. Holy shit. Oh, Dar put up the volume, but Dar, I just sent you a link for the actual first chapter that is sample up on Comic Action. And god damn it, I'm just gonna say it. I think Wombs is the best sci-fi manga I've ever read.
Damn.
We haven't talked about it because it's such an old series and like our podcast has been going for so long. But after reading Womb's Cradle, I think this is like the most engaging, beautifully drawn, and just interesting from a concept science fiction series. What's interesting here, Darfox, is I don't know if this was in the original series. At the end of this first chapter, you get to see the actual alien creature that lives on that planet that does the teleportation. Oh, you put up that picture of like that's the badass captain
Yeah.
from the original Womb series. And this is the entire premise of Womb's Cradle is when they were trying to make this, putting alien organisms in women, they were using prisoners, criminals, people that were disposable. And it wasn't working well. They couldn't control the teleportation, so they just used them as human bums. And this is a story of how a bunch of people who were, who had the organism in their body escaped from prison, from their holding cells, and then they met up with this doctor who was hiding on the enemy side. He was involved with the initial creation of the wombs, and they're trying to get the organisms out of themselves because after 38 weeks, I think they said, the organism tries to birth and it kills the host. So it's such a deep and interesting story, the wombs, and it's drawn so well by Yumiko Shirai. I'm just getting excited talking about this again because like it's dense with its like world building and the lore, and the storytelling is very dramatic, but it has lots of meaning to it. When the womb soldiers warp, they enter the plane of the alien organisms. They live in like a different plane of existence, and that plane gets filled up with like their own personal feelings and stories. And so usually the alien organism in their world is represented by like a lost child that they had. Or they see like the badass lieutenant here sees like a truck that her father used to drive for deliveries in that world as they travel. It's just like creatively it's fantastic. And I'm so glad that she got to draw this. She says at the end of the second volume of Womb's Cradle, this was a story she originally wanted to draw but couldn't because Ikki shut down. And she's so happy that she got to revisit this and flesh out the beginning of how these ragtag women who are about to die because the alien organism was going to give birth came together, was able to harness the power of the organism inside them, figure out how to actually warp without and control their power, and then prove to their own country that was using them as human weapons that they are more effective as soldiers, and it would stop other women from being used as human weapons. It's so good. It's so fucking good. I think it is a crime. It is a crime that this manga has not been officially published in English. Absolutely. It is. I will stand by my statement again. It is the best sci-fi manga series I think I've ever read. I love it.
All right, place your bets, guys. How long is it going to take for it in English now that we've mentioned it again? 6 months? We hear it about
6 months.
license. Let's say 6 months. See, should we give it a full 9 months, like a gestation of a?
It took a minute to.
We'll plant that seed, so to speak.
Don in chat says 2 to 6 months. I don't know.
We'll see. There've been some old stuff has been coming out. It's not like it's not impossible.
It is not impossible, Morgana. Like Homunculus got released last year. We
Right.
never thought that was going to happen. The thing is, I just don't know if people are willing to go around and shop this around because it's such like, I don't know, it's so interesting, like the idea of these pregnant women becoming like the center stage and most powerful like forces in a war, no less. They're not just sidelined.
Is there a fear? Is there a fear that this is like, that like the average manga head would not be interested in hearing about like pregnant women or something like that?
Yeah,
Possibly.
but there have been so many things published like this that I never thought would have, like, a few years ago, before I started working for them, Yen published I Don't Know How to Give Birth, which is a nonfiction story about, pregnancy, essay manga. I think there's absolutely an audience for this. I could see this one being a really good sell to people who, manga for people who hate manga, people who don't normally like read it, but this is like a really good sci-fi story, and they would be willing to, like, Planetes is one of those that I think kind of bridges that gap. I mean, honestly, I feel like there's a dearth of good science fiction manga in English right now.
Yeah,
I
there's not
haven't
that
read
much.
any. Yeah. So I think we could really use it personally. Look, the freaking geocentrism manga got licensed.
Yeah,
So like,
heliocentric, yeah.
come on.
I mean, but that's getting an anime this year, Morgana.
all right.
That's
but,
gonna help.
Wombs anime is what you're saying?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Well, when did we start this podcast? Freaking like almost 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah,
And
so
it's-
2014.
So we talked about wombs almost 10 years ago at this point.
Well, Seamus saw Yumiko Shirai at Worldcon in 2017. I had the book. You do too, Dark Fox.
Yeah,
we got
it's
trial books then when they were trying to shop it around.
it's a completely different world now. The whole manga
Oh
publishing
yeah.
than back then. So much, like Morgana said, so much things we never expected to get licensed. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible, and we definitely advocate it.
Like Dawn says in the chat, we finally got Rose of Versailles. Nothing is impossible.
I mean, if we could publish this, I would.
Oh yeah.
How much does it cost to start a manga publishing company?
A lot. I looked into it.
Let me talk to some people.
Oh,
Digital
we know-
only. Digital only.
$50 about.
And Dakazu do the translation.
I could.
Digital only would be cheaper. Digital books also sell more poorly than print books in the U.S. So I don't know. The cost to revenue ratio is worthwhile for print books.
If I could, I would. 100%.
Got to go the manga splaining route. Start publishing our own books and collaborate with a publisher.
Soon.
In which case, I would probably either have to leave the podcast or quit my job. I think
Yeah.
that's probably like a breach of contract.
Like, Morgana, what are you doing?
It's gonna, yeah, it will be your ultimatum.
But yeah, I read Womb's Cradle. It was fantastic. It was more Wombs. It was awesome. I fell in love with Wombs again. We need Wombs. Ignore the fact that I'm saying we need Wombs.
Get that soundbite.
We all need wombs.
My wife is just like hand out, and she's like shaking her head, snapping like, "What? Come on."
As someone with a womb, I can't say I recommend it, actually. It's a lot of maintenance.
I would love to hear what you think of Wombs, Morgana.
I would really like to read it. I am very curious about it.
Hopefully someday. Hopefully someday. Okay, so that was my what you've been reading. Want to get that out of the way first. Darfox, you have something to talk about?
Yeah, I could talk something very briefly. This is not manga related, but it is bingo card related. I started listening to the Water Margin podcast, is a podcast that recounts the Water Margin Chinese novel. It's one of the 3 famous ancient Chinese novels.
6.
6. What are the other 6 or the other 3?
Well, there's 4, and then there's like 2 more. There's that, Three Kingdoms,
Yeah, Journey to the West.
Dreams of the Red Chamber, Journey to the West, Scholars, and Plum of the Golden Vase. But the last 2 you don't hear about as much. Mostly the last one, partly because the last one has like a lot of, well, compared to the other ones, quite a lot of sex. Overall, not that much.
Okay.
Like people, there's like references to purple flutes and jade gates.
Jade Gates.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, there's not haven't been much Jade Gates in the Water Margin podcast as I listened to it so far. The Water Margin in the West is probably most famous for its connection
Suikoden.
to Suikoden, which is a Japanese RPG that came out in the PlayStation 1 era. It's the book isn't that similar to the game at all. But the book is basically a series of episodic stories of people running afoul of the law and kind of going to hiding, and some of them meet each other, some of them don't. They become friends, and then they kind of circle back to some of them sometimes. And I think it's leading up to them actually getting together and like starting this the hideout in the marsh already exists, but it's about 108 like outlaws that are like their campus in the march. So it's pretty fun listening to the podcast. I will kind of plug it here. If you're interested, he's not really reading the book to you. He's kind of recounting the story and giving extra context to stuff. He talks about when the book mentions this 3,000 strips of coins. He explains that there's not actually 3,000 strips of coins. That's just like a numeric value, and when it comes time to make that sell, they'll probably do it in ingots or something that's like more manageable. Just tons of just small details about the Chinese currency and Buddhism and stuff like that. That's referenced in the book. That he does a pretty good job of explaining briefly, just so you have the context. Then they move on with the story. It is tough though. There's so many characters, and each section of the book introduces a new character, but then also just a bunch of characters that character interacts with. So every section of the story, you're coming to know 10 extra characters, and they're all different with different names. So I've definitely lost myself. I've had to backtrack and figure out where certain characters come in. But overall, it's a really fun listen. And this guy has another podcast for Three Kingdoms, but I didn't want to listen to that one because Dagazu and I were watching the TV show, which hopefully we'll get back to eventually.
We need to get back to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've planned on listening to the podcast once we're done with the TV show. And maybe that will be better because I will have extra, not context, but repetition helps me learn. So hearing the story for a second time in a different format will probably help me with the Three Kingdoms, because Three Kingdoms is also pretty dense, with just taking you somewhere else and I'm introducing 5 or 6 new characters, and then you just hang out with them for a little while and they start betraying each other and all this political intrigue happens. I would say that the Water Margin is way less complicated. There's a lot less politics, but there's way more characters. There's a lot more characters moving about and doing stuff. They just all happen to be robbing people or getting robbed or beefing with some sort of official, and it's oh, I gotta leave town because this guy became the marshal and the marshal hates my dad, so he's gonna make my life a living hell, so I gotta get the hell out of here. And it's about them trying to make a getaway in the middle of the night so that the marshal, because if he runs away, then the marshal would be you're hiding something, and the marshal's gonna accuse him of doing anything he wants because he did something guilty looking. So a lot of funny stories, and funny I mean terrible stories about the Chinese justice system and people the old ancient Chinese justice system, and people getting arrested because you're a neighbor of somebody who did a crime and stuff like that, and people getting caned and shit like that for being witness to something. It's you were there, well, why did you do anything? And they just get their ass beat. Pretty fun.
This sounds the Water Margin sounds like it's just a story of a bunch of Zhang Feis.
Kind
you
of,
know?
yes, yeah. It's basically a lot of very brash, very. Actually, the first episode of the podcast is like an introduction episode where he doesn't actually recount it in the book. He kind of sets up the cultural context of like he grew up in China and he kind of explained how he knows the book and stuff like that. And part of that he explained it was like think about like these outlaws almost like being like Klingons from Star Trek, which is kind of like the closest like cultural touchstone for Americans, I guess. Where like they're these really strong, really brash warriors who talk about honor all the time, but they're not always super honorable. Like they talk about honor, but they're constantly like just doing really terrible shit, like stealing from people and killing people. But there's this pretense, there's this illusion to like oh I'm an honorable person, I gotta protect this person. So like yeah, it's fun in that way. Is that you have a lot of people who don't sit around and take shit from other people. Like they will fight at the drop of a hat. Like they don't give a fuck.
That sounds fun. I think I want to listen to that podcast too.
Yeah, I recommend it. I mean the big caveat that I will give with it, disclaimer, is just a personal one. If you're somebody who can't focus while multitasking, sometimes I'm okay with it, but sometimes I'm not. So I'm listening to the podcast and I start doing something else, and then I realize that for the last like 20 minutes I haven't been paying attention. I was like, oh shit, what the fuck just happened? So like, so like just think about that. If you're somebody who needs to listen to a podcast, intently while it's going on, then it's like less fun because then you have to sit there and listen to it. But I'm like maybe 50-50. Most of the time I'm okay with it, but sometimes I just totally space out and I just like if I just realized that I wasn't paying attention. I gotta go back and listen to what happened or whatever. But the podcast website is really good because every episode has a script, so you don't actually have to read it to the podcast. You can reference the script on the website and kind of skim through it and figure out. And every episode has a list of characters that appear in it, so you could like reference to like, wait, which character was this one? So you could look at who did what, which is really useful if you're actually like invested in trying to figure out where the characters are and what they're doing, because there's a lot of fucking characters, and I'm not even halfway to the story, but there's probably
Nice.
like 60 characters so far introduced. It's crazy. It's nuts.
Well, it's 108 Heroes, right?
It's
So-
108 heroes / outlaws plus just like all the people they interact with. There's like a ton of characters. It is crazy.
And this is Water Margin Podcast, Outlaws
Yeah.
of the Marsh.
Yeah, let me actually look up the website itself.
I think I got it here.
Yeah, outlawsofthemarsh.com. Outlaws of the Marsh is a more accurate translation. Water Margin is like the very direct translation of the Chinese novel. But like it doesn't exactly make sense. Like Outlaws of the Marsh is a more like localized title for the book because there's a bunch of outlaws in the marsh. Or a bunch of outlaws that might eventually get to a marsh. For the first part of it, they're just kind of fucking about and getting into fights or stealing people or getting robbed from and getting revenge and who knows what else.
Nice, Star. I thought you were going to talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, so I'm
No,
surprised.
I was gonna wait a week or two until I was actually done with like I'm rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender because I've never seen it all. I've seen bits and pieces, kind of in preparation for the Netflix series, but I'm not going to comment on it now. I'll comment on it later.
What? You won't tell us if Zuko is your favorite character?
Nah, Zuko. I don't really. Maybe Toph is my favorite character.
You hear this, Morgana? You fucking hear this?
Listen, this is. Don't start with me, man.
Nah, hey, Zuko is a perfectly fine character. That boy needs to heal. He's
Oh yeah.
he's grown up in a very hostile environment. That's just he's one of those like delicate boys that's forced to be a tough boy, and it's just like really
Yes.
hurt his soul.
I love it. See,
yeah.
I do like sad boys.
Yeah, they gotta be right.
It's just they gotta really be hurting, and it's gotta be like real reasons, not my dick is sad. That's not a real reason.
We're gonna revisit the side boys in the main segment, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's the fun thing about Avatar is that it has a pretty serious storyline because it's about like the Fire Nation invading and killing everybody. But it's still a Nickelodeon cartoon, so the characters are like, "Whoops, I slipped, my head fell on a watermelon. Now, oh my god, a watermelon head!" And then cut to like generals in the Fire Nation talking about how they're going to genocide the town or something. It's just like the tone is really weird. How it's dealing with like these political terrible war situations that are kind of realistic. In that stuff like this did happen in our world, but like also it's a kids cartoon, so like Momo starts dancing around and a funny song starts playing. It's a good time.
Wait for Korra, I guess.
Yeah, I hear Korra is like less a kids cartoon and more just like a serious time, sad time cartoon. But I'm excited to check it out. I've seen the very beginning of it.
Very nice. Okay, let's move along. Morgana, you have anything for this week?
Nope, not this week.
Okay, anything for you, Seamus?
Nope.
All right, we'll go ahead and end what you've been reading then. And yeah, we'll get ready to get to our main segment. But before that, let me talk about what we're doing next week. Next week, we'll be doing another one-shot. We'll be reading Will I Be Single Forever by Mari Okazaki. It's a manga I've heard about a lot, and so I haven't read it. So yeah, we're all going to check it out. It's a single volume story, 161 pages. That's what we'll be talking about next week. Will I Be Single Forever? Look forward to that. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, it'll be time for our triple dip. Okay, everyone, we are back. For our main segment, we are doing a triple dip. We're going to look at the first volume of 3 different manga and talk about them and compare them. For this triple dip, we are talking about the Darwin incident, March Comes In Like a Lion, and Real. We have 2 manga that are came out last year, but only one of them is pretty new. And the other 2 manga are kind of old. Older, I should say. So let's see, with this triple dip, I'm going to let Morgana get the first pick. Morgana, what shall we talk about first?
Ooh. Who among this group of outcasts? Let's see. Well, let's do March Comes In Like a Lion. That's what I read first.
All right, let's talk about March Comes In Like a Lion. So, March Comes In Like a Lion, Japanese title, 3月のライオン. It's a manga by Chika Umino. It started in 2007 and is still ongoing. It runs in Young Animal magazine. This was a series that people were waiting to be licensed in English, and it finally got licensed by Denpa. Fortunately, Denpa doesn't have their website is a little off. Darfox already pulling up certain illustrations. I'll talk about those in a sec. Oh, this is an awful time for my Kindle app to be like, we're updating. I was gonna read some like localization credits, but I guess I'll start with the copy first. Okay. Rei Kiriyama is a child prodigy. Rei Kiriyama is also an orphan who lives alone in an empty apartment. Life is complicated for Rei. He's an up-and-coming shogi, Japanese chess player, on the verge of turning pro, but he has no home life or much of a life period outside his board game. But thankfully, with the help of some lifelong friends, he has an opportunity to start all over again. This cannot be the right copy. This cannot be the right copy.
What do you mean?
There's no way that's the right copy. For context, I was looking at the copy on Amazon because I could not find a page for March Comes In Like a Lion on Denpa's website. All right, my Kindle app is back up. Okay, here we go. I'm looking at the back cover of the actual volume that Denpa put out. Let me read that copy. Opening move. Rei Kiriyama is a 17-year-old professional shogi player who lives alone in Tokyo's uptown. Unfortunately, the young man lost his family at a young age, sending his life into a deep world of solitude. This is a heartfelt tale of how he recovers his life upon coming into contact with the Kawamoto sisters, Akari, Hinata, and Momo. Wow, that copy is so much better! I was reading the Amazon copy, and I was like, he's a teen on the verge of becoming a professional shogi player. I was like, that's wrong. He's already a professional player at age 17. That's like a main crux of the story. Like, where the hell did they get that?
Copy police. If you got bad copy, you know who to call.
Maybe from Goodreads?
Maybe,
Amazon connected with Goodreads?
or like manga updates.
Yep.
No, so I mean, from my perspective, and I don't know how Denpa does this, but all of the manga metadata goes through what used to be Comixology.
Right, and that's down now. That's gone.
Right, but there is still, so all of the, for regular ebooks, all the metadata goes through like a feed. But for the comics, because they're a different format, all the metadata is handled manually. So like I send an Excel spreadsheet every week with updates. So I wonder if it's old copy that never got updated properly, or something happened somewhere along the way and it's just bad copy.
Something
But
personal.
yeah,
You know, copy is bad when it's factually wrong and then it has like
Yeah.
grammatical
It's-
errors right in the end.
it's possible. It's like, sometimes you draft a description at the beginning, and then as the book gets edited, it gets changed and updated. It's possible that was like an early one, and then something happened, or somehow Amazon's pulling it from somewhere weird.
Right. Okay, so localization for March Comes In Like a Lion in English. Translator Jocelyn Allen. Proofreading Varick Robinson. Production Glenn Isip, Nicole Jochirch, Risa Cho, Kai Koyu. Digital Taneli Vatanen. I'm sure I butchered all those names. I'm so sorry. The original Japanese Volume 1 came out in 2008, and it was put out in English in 2023. So yeah, I've been reading March Comes In Like a Lion. I'm still reading it. Currently, Chika Umino puts out chapters at a very slow pace, so it's not updated often. But let me tell you all, I love March Comes In Like a Lion. I love shogi manga, and this is one of the best shogi manga out there. Even though, like, more so than anything, this is a drama. This is a drama about a young man who, the copy said it perfectly. He lives in solitude. That's all he knows, because of things that happened in his past. And then he connects with these sisters that he meets, befriends them, becomes like basically a family with them, and it helps him grow and open up. And it's amazing. I love this manga. I know I just talked about how Wombs is like the best sci-fi, but like I forgot how good this manga was. Probably just because like I've been reading those new chapters that have been coming out in Young Animal at such a like sporadic rate. I forgot how good Chika Umino's like paneling is. I know she did Honey and Clover before this.
Yeah, I remember reading the first volume of that and not loving it, but I don't remember much about it. And now I'm like, I kind of want to go back and reread it.
Maybe we'll do it for the podcast, Morgana, because I've never read it, and I'm always wanting to kind of check out her work before this. But yeah, March Comes In Like a Lion is amazing. The characters are great. It's got cats that talk. That's great. It's got shogi, and it goes deep into shogi, but it does. She draws it in a way and explains it in a way that's easy to understand. It's fantastic. And most people probably know March Comes In Like a Lion through the anime that came out a couple years back. I rewatched that first episode right before we started recording, and it stands up. It's such a good first episode. The entire lead up to Ray in the first chapter, where he plays a game against his surrogate father, beats him. And then, the father leaves saying, oh, the other kids, you left so suddenly, the other kids miss you. And he leaves. And then Ray just like, he's looking down and he just says, liar. Oh, I'm getting chills. It's so good. It's so good. All right, now that I gushed about March Comes In Like a Lion, let's turn to Morgana. This is your first time with March Comes In Like a Lion, right?
Right, I've never seen the anime and I've never read it before.
What'd you think?
I liked it. I actually don't give a shit about the shogi. Mostly because, I don't mind it being there. I think it's a good, I think it's an interesting choice for, something to hang this whole thing on. of all things, shogi seems very niche, but and you could tell the story without it. I think.
I don't think you can.
You don't think so? You think there's too much of the
The particular thing
There's
about
more
shogi that
later
works.
on. There's a lot more later on.
Yeah, the thing that works about shogi is you have your protagonist, main character Ray. He can be in high school, 17, and he has to play games against adults. Like that's the world of shogi. It's very
mean-
much like young upstarts come and like they play like personal games, and that's like part of his journey too. So
But that's Yu-Gi-Oh. Young
They should-
kids
they should've
playing
made
games
this
against
Yu-Gi-Oh.
adults. No, but I see what you mean. I'm not as invested in his shogi career as I am in his relationship with especially this family of sisters. I really like them a lot.
they're great.
I also like his buddy / rival.
Nikaido.
I love him. He's great. I love is it Akari is the oldest sister.
Yes.
I love her love of cute and chubby things and like desire to feed people. Like I'm like that is such a like I feel that maternal instinct and that like big sister instinct. I have both of those also. So yeah, the characters are really, really good. I really enjoyed them. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I don't think I really have anything negative to say about it. The art was really lovely. The characters, like I said, are really interesting. Again, the shogi, I don't really care one way or another, but it's the frame upon which everything else hangs, so it kind of works in that regard. It could be whatever. I want the drama of the relationships here and the growth of Rei as a character.
They will go hand in hand. And,
Right.
Yeah. It'll be. It never just detracts. Like I don't think you're ever bogged down by the shogi stuff. You end up like actually, if anything, this series has introduced a bunch of people to like I want to try shogi now.
Yeah,
learn about it.
I don't know a whole lot about it. It seems complicated, but it's
It is
like
complicated,
chess.
yeah.
You know, I like to play chess casually, but like people get into chess. You know.
The easiest way to explain it is essentially chess, except some pieces move differently, and the main crux is after you take a piece, it becomes yours.
Right.
And then you can, instead of moving one of your pieces, you can place a piece basically anywhere on the board. And then so like you have to constantly make sure that like your king is protected because they could just drop a piece and like screw up your defenses and immediately checkmate you. So it's very complex.
There have been quite a few flashbacks. How do we feel about that, friends?
This manga's like all flashback.
It is.
It's been a while since we had this many flashbacks.
Yes.
Well, I want to turn to Seamus next because Seamus did read a lot of March Comes In Like a Lion. I know he dropped off the anime very hard because the anime Momo voice is too cutesy, and Seamus, quote, wants to punt her into the river.
That's the most shameless thing ever.
But Seamus really liked March Comes In Like a Lion. I know, like, back in the day he was looking at the scans, keeping up with the chapters, so... Seamus, how has it been revisiting March Comes In Like a Lion? What do you think now in 2024?
What my first thought is too many words. Good lord. The youngest child is still annoying, but like there's no voice attached to it, so I read it and I was like, this is alright, but like I'm kind of reading it more because I know where it goes, not so much in the first volume. Like there's just a lot of like setup and character introductions and like people introducing themselves and giving us backstory and plot, which like I don't know. I don't know if the anime like that. I don't know. I remember liking the anime years ago, but like I don't know. It's so long since I've like seen or read any of it. It's all kind of like hazy memories. I just remember like back then I liked this, but I don't really remember why anymore.
Maybe you liked it because you liked the characters and the growth, and like it's a constant journey for Ray himself, but also all the side characters. Like his rival Nikaido. They give him like a lot of good character moments here.
Oh, I love how at the beginning Nikaido comes and like opens his mail and is going on and on about being a shonen protagonist. And Ray's like, a shonen protagonist wouldn't just barge in here and open someone's mail and like do all these things. And I was like, Ray, what was the last shonen manga you read? Because like all of them would.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn to Darfox. Darfox, you watch the anime, right?
Yes, I watched all the anime that is available. I am eager for
It's
more.
like 3
Bring me
seasons.
more March of the Comes in Like a Lion anime.
I wish. I don't think there's enough new material, to be honest.
Damn. Chico
It just comes out. It just comes out when Umino Chikano has pages ready. So
Umino Chico, please. Well, the best trick this manga plays, and it plays it constantly, is coldness of his upbringing / shogi world, and the warmness of his adopted family life. The anime really does it very well. The manga does it well as well, where he's dealing with all these, very negative thoughts about his adopted family, and his kind of curse of being okay as shogi from a young age. So now he's kind of forced to do it. It's like a survival mechanism is shogi. Shogi gives him food and shelter, basically.
but it ultimately ousted him from
Yes.
his surrogate family.
It ostracizes him. And then you flip the page, and suddenly you have these 3 sisters that are so welcoming and so nice. It's like the you know how people say there's not that much difference between like happiness and sadness. This is like one of the few times I understand that concept, because like this book like makes you want to cry in all the sad things, but it also makes you want to cry with the sisters just being like super sweet and warm. It's like almost like the same reaction to both of like the extremes that this manga presents. And it's just we're essentially like content creators for manga stuff, believe it or not. And in the content creation space, like clickbait is a very big deal, right? It's like, this manga ripped your heart. This manga made me cry all night. It's like that's how we talk about manga a lot in this space, especially like on TikTok and on YouTube. We have to.
Again, you're doing that with the word "we" there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I am, because we don't play that game, and we're not involved in that, in either the content side or like the numbers side that content like generates, but like this is like a good version or a good example of a manga that does do that, but in a completely non-sensational way, where it's not like, oh, like Momo like doesn't get hit by a stray RPG and she flies into the sky and explodes or anything like that. Like, all the sadness of this manga is it's pretty low key, but it's very sad things that's happened to these characters, and some of them haven't processed it, some of them are still processing it, and they're just kind of just like slowly dealing with it. And sometimes somebody offering you like a lifeline or a life preserver to get them out of that sadness is like super emotional and sad making, even though it's the good part of like the sadness where you're getting rescued from it. But it's almost like getting rescued from it is like pulling out the band-aid, where that part's gonna hurt. And this manga kind of portrays that feeling a lot, where like it's if you're like in a slump and if you're depressed, it's kind of sad, but it's sometimes almost preferable to like trying to fix it, because trying to fix it, you go through like some sort of emotional crucible where you have to like grow and tear apart parts of yourself. And this manga kind of like portrays that in kind of subtle and like nice ways.
Yeah, there was some really I liked the way it kind of dealt with grief. There's a there's a couple chapters or a chapter about Obon where the family, the sisters and the grandfather, they observe Obon and they kind of send off their, you know, they celebrate's not the word, but honor their grandmother and mother who passed away, right? And they're kind of going through all this, and Ray is like, you know, he lost his family very young, and he loved his family very much, and he's like, this just feels like it's, you know, it's, you know, kind
A
of
painful ceremony to make yourself sad.
right, exactly, you know, just drawing out the pain, but then you know he witnesses Hina, the middle sister,
Yes, Hina.
witnesses her, you know, crying on her own after like Obon is over, and realizes that like it's actually really healthy to have this relationship to kind of work through these feelings, to recognize your grief, whereas he just kind of threw it all in a, you know, in a corner of his mind and didn't deal with it. And I really liked that kind of like he even said like who, you know, he said something about like who's the one who's really like done the right thing here, basically. Like it's probably better what they're doing to like go through the pain and work through the pain than, you know, what I've done. I thought that was very, I feel like I like that approach to grieving. I like the, you know, not pushing through it, but like it's something that, you know, I think a lot of people in the West don't want to do. I think we want to bury grief a lot. And as somebody who's lost people in recent years, I feel like it's really important to, I don't know, like really live with it, sit with it, in order to come out the other side. So I really liked that scene in particular, that kind of arc of Obon.
And that's just in the first volume, Morgana.
Yeah. Yep.
They like Chika Umino immediately gets into it. I mentioned the anime first episode, and it's just the start of Rei having the game against his surrogate father and beating him. And then right afterwards he gets to spend time with like the sisters who are very warm and kind, and it's so very good. It's like just from the first chapter you read that, you're like, this is going to be a good dramatic story.
I also like that we know that Ray has had trouble, but we're not like being dragged through it until he gets to, you know, like he already has a good foundation and a good relationship with his family. He's going to work through a lot of problems, but like it's not just he's not constantly down, and we're constantly having to watch him like suffer over and over again. Like there's levity here too.
Mm-hmm. Actually, lots of levity with the sisters, with their cats, with their
Love those
cats.
cats. Yep.
Those cats are so good.
That cat that might actually be an owl, but maybe is a cat.
Yes. I love how like the cats have voices. They talk. I mean, obviously the humans can't hear them, but like you get to see what the cats are saying, and it's so good. So while I did say that March Comes in the Lion is one of my favorite manga, this is a manga I can't reread. I won't. There is a very intense arc about bullying that I can't deal with.
Oh.
It's very well done and very effective, and so I cannot read that. It is way too triggering for me. It's a big part of the story. It takes up like 2-3 volumes, I think. So that might be a reason why I kind of forgot about how much I like March Comes in Like Alliance. It's like it's not something I reread all the time, like something like Yomish Pedal or Shoujo Fight, manga like that. But it's so good. No, I am flipping through these pages, and Seamus is right. There's a lot of text. There's so much text. And there's a lot of text on the edge of the panels, like in between.
It's definitely dense, but like I don't know if I'd cut it cluttered, like some mangas might be.
Yeah, it all has meaning and it all makes sense. And there are other pages that are like much more sparse and like really nice. So the pacing is not terrible at all. Actually, after doing this podcast for so long and reading like more shoujo manga at Morgana's suggestion, I feel like this is actually easier to read for me because I'm more used to like some of these techniques or like paneling or like where you put the text
Waha.
that you'd see in like shoujo manga. I'm like, oh yeah.
My evil plan is working.
One of the tricks that this manga plays less often than the sadness, happiness juxtaposition is that occasionally those worlds meet. Like, there's a scene later on in the story where, like, Ray and his relationship with his sister is like really fucked. You get a little bit of it here in the manga, but like, you get it more later on. And there's like a scene where like, the three sisters were running errands and they kind of bump into Ray as he's like arguing with his sister. And it just feels like a violation. Like, this is not supposed to happen. Like, they're not supposed to see the sadness. Like, the two shall now meet. And it's interesting seeing how they process it.
Oh, I thought you were gonna bring up the one of the best parts of the anime about the veteran shogi player. You remember that, Dar? With the
stomach issues?
he has not his eventual like master that he studies with, the old guy with the glasses, and he's on the verge of retiring, and all his fellow players of like his same age group have retired. Other players have like some of his friends have passed away, and the hopes and dreams of like all the people that he's met and have passed along his way are represented as these white ribbons on him, and they're like blowing away. You remember that?
Yes.
Yes, it's very good.
Yeah, this is a very good story.
It's a very good story. It's very well beloved. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's subtle sometimes in its like build up and emotions, but it is very dramatic.
Dar, do me a favor and pull up the. I found online like all the end of anime episodes. They had different manga artists and creators do an illustration. Can you pull up the one for episode 1 by Kentaro Miura, creator of Berserk?
Did you send it to me?
It was on the website that you had it. I can send it again. Hold on. Okay, I sent it to Dar. So when the anime came up, you would watch the episode, and after the credits, you would get to see like a title card or illustration. I say end card, not title card. An end card of illustrated by different people. Kentaro Miura did a couple. Because Chika Umino, super close friends with Kentaro Miura. She was one of the people who knew before the public announcement of his passing that he passed away. There's some great ones. Yeah, that looks fantastic.
Oh, there's a Mario Kazaki one.
There's a Moyoko Ando one.
Oh, heck.
Lots of people contributed to drawing the cards. Mm-hmm. You got Chuya Koyama of Space Brothers as Ray wearing a spacesuit and playing shogi on the moon. It's pretty fucking good.
Best one, however, is this cracked out drawing right here.
By Rensuke Oshikiri of High Score Girl.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of
There's even one by Kenshi Yonezu. a very famous musician who did one of the end songs. You would know him, Darfox, as the man who sang Kickback for Chainsaw Man.
Oh.
There's the Koji Mori one, which is, Darfox pulled it up.
Another close friend of his.
And
Kentaro
the monk. The manga artist behind Jisatsu Suicide Island, and he is currently in charge of doing the rest of Berserk manga. Lots of wonderful illustrations. Are you laughing at some of these?
Yeah. Some of these are just like out there. Wait, was this also Kentaro Miura? Did two of them?
Yeah. The one of the sisters in color, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cute. Is there anything else to say about this first volume of March Comes in Like a Lion? Anything I missed?
Not really. I think we covered it pretty well.
Usually with Triple Dips, we ask, would you read the next volume? This is a little difficult because I read all of it. Seamus definitely read more in the past. Darfox, you've watched all the anime, so you know what happens next.
Yeah, for a long while at least.
I guess this question just goes to Morgan then. Would you read another volume of March Comes In Like a Lion?
Yes.
That's good. Vicky will be glad to hear that because she said she was worried in our Discord. It's like, oh, I'm so worried. It's one of my favorite series. What will you all say?
We're usually nice, even if we don't like something that much.
Yeah.
Unless it's Investor Z. Never gonna let it down. I'm never, ever gonna let it
Mark
go.
it off your bingo card. Investor Z comes up again. Yeah, it's very nice. If people have not experienced the manga before, I think it's well worth checking out. Though the anime is excellent. The anime is really good, so. And that is readily available on Crunchyroll, so if you want to watch all of that, it's very good. But obviously, I would say, like, rereading the Star, don't you think, like, the anime takes so heavily from Chika Umino's art? And everything she set up?
Yeah. It's animated.
Right.
It's animated, so it's like you don't have to read it yourself. I mean, what I'm saying is common sense, but it's like all that denseness from the page is gone, and now it's just like it being told to you.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Okay, let's move along from March Comes In Like a Lion. Seamus, I'm going to let you pick what we talk about next.
The Darwin incident.
Okay. Let's talk about the Darwin incident. Japanese title is Darwin Jihen, literally translated to the Darwin incident. It's a manga by Shun Umezawa. Seamus and I talked about one of his manga, A Pantyhose-Like World, in the past. Which was, it was very strange. It was a strange collection of stories. But his current series is The Darwin Incident. It started in 2020, running in Afternoon magazine. It's the same magazine that you get Land of the Lustrous. It's a monthly seinen magazine. And it is put out in English from Kodansha. Let me get the localization. Translation done by Kat Anderson. Editor Daniel Joseph. Production Grace Liu. Pei Ann Yeep. Eve Grant. And proofreading by Kevin Luo. Let me read the copy on kodansha.us. The Animal Liberation Alliance, an eco-terrorist organization rescues a pregnant chimpanzee from an animal testing lab, only for it to give birth to a half-human, half-chimpanzee, humanzee, named Charlie. 15 years later, Charlie's human foster parents are finally ready to send him to a normal high school, where he makes his first friend, a human girl named Lucy. In the meantime, however, the ALA's stance has become even more extreme, and now they're here to drag Charlie into their terrorist plot. Winner of the prestigious Manga Taisho, as well as the Excellence Award at the Japanese Media Arts Festival. The Darwin incident is an action-packed as it is socially relevant. I don't know about the last sentence, but yeah, the copy basically sets it up. So I guess we're gonna start with Seamus. Seamus, what did you think of this manga about the humanzee Charlie?
I don't know really. I read it and I was like, I'll read some more of it. But I'm like, I'm not sure why.
Interesting.
Odd.
Nothing too negative to say from Seamus, so it's not a bad thing.
There's parts of it that are interesting, like the fact it's set in like a modern setting where they use WhatsApp
That does come up.
and like the internet exists.
It does, yes.
And it's set in like St. Louis, Missouri.
In America.
I don't know if it's going to go anywhere all that interesting, but it's just like, okay, this is a bit unusual from like most manga that are like set in Japan or in a place that's not real at all.
So your interest in this series might come from that, just that it's different.
Yeah, it's different. I don't know, is it ever read enough to be like, is it
This is
actually
good.
all that interesting?
Right. Okay, why don't we ask Darfox? Darfox, what did you think?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
This manga is like I'm very sorry I don't have a good example on hand, but you know those movies where like the characters are narrowly escaping death constantly, where like they walk down like a hallway and there's like spears jumping at them and it's all missing their head just by an inch, to the point where it's almost comical, where you're like this guy got lucky 18 times in the last 5 seconds. That is this manga. There's so much really dodgy stuff that it's playing with. It's like it's right there. It's about to go over the edge and jump the shark, but like, it actually hasn't done anything offensive yet. It's just kind of talking about offensive stuff or stuff that could be offensive, and you kind of keep reading it. Like it's kind of portraying this like okay in a good logical modern way, I guess, constantly throughout the whole thing, until I got to the end of it, and I was like, I felt like this manga should have been way worse than it was.
More problematic, you mean?
Yes, well, both in quality and also just like an execution of a subject matter. And I wasn't sure if that was like a compliment, like is that actually a compliment or not, but it does tick the box of like morbid curiosity of like okay, weird concept. Is this manga just a trashy book? Well, no, actually, it kind of has an interesting character in the main character. He's very similar to like, again, going back to Star Trek, he's very similar to a character like Data or Spock, where they're very capable and strong and analytical, but they're also don't seem to have all the same human reactions and emotions that most of us do. It's like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then like, there's a lot of like, the whole thing that the villains are like a vegan terrorist group. I mean, like, eco-terrorism isn't something, it's like something that exists, and it isn't that's really, that funny, but like a vegan terrorist group specifically just was really weird and funny to me. I just don't know what to think about the leader, or at least who's portrayed as the leader, which is like that black character.
Yeah, the one black guy.
the one black guy who's kind of like the main bad guy, and he's also just looks kind of crazy. He looks unhinged all the time. And like, not to beat around the bush, like the moment I heard about this manga, I'm like, is this manga gonna be like racist against black people? Just because like black people are always stereotyped as monkeys, and it's just a huge like racist stereotype. And there isn't anything like that directly in this manga. Like, all the idea of a human chimpanzee hybrid is purely presented as like a science fiction perspective. There isn't any like racially social edge that this manga presented as. But the fact that there is one black character in this manga, and like I said, he's kind of unhinged. He's kind of like, he's always drawn in like this wide-eyed, smiling kind of characteristic that like I couldn't stop thinking about like the racist stereotypes and racist link. It was always in the back of my head, even though the manga, and I'm being as honest and unobjective as this is, as I can possibly be. Even though the manga doesn't do any direct correlation or comparison ever at all. Like I said, the whole human chimpanzee hybrid is purely done as like a sci-fi idea that's explained, or like it's slightly explained. They don't go into the detail, but there was a genius biologist scientist guy that made the hybrid with this chimpanzee that I forgot her name. Like race, and specifically black people, never really enter into the origin or the story of Charlie the human Z. But the book never let me forget about that possibility because of the main villain. So like I said, I think in a different manga that would have fucking buried it. A different like this manga could have very easily been what's the fucking manga with the cockroaches?
Oh, Terraformars.
Yeah, Terraformers, that like the cockroaches are just like black people characters. It's like extremely racist. This manga isn't anything like that. It's actually kind of like a decent like thriller. It's like the story is structured like a thriller, where like or like a suspenseful movie that's building up to be like a thriller, where like the main character is getting like accosted by a terrorist cell, and their objectives are kind of, you know, not 100% clear right now, but they're interested in the main character, and the main character just wants to keep his family safe. And then they start intermingling. And I saw in one of the covers of the future volumes, he has like an AK. So I assume he goes on the run and starts fighting the terrorists or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happens in this manga, but like, I don't know. I've been babbling a lot about this manga, but like, suffice to say, I don't think it's a bad manga, but I really had that feeling while reading it that like this, I feel like this should be a lot worse, and I'm surprised that it's actually like okay, and it does okay by the characters. But by the end of the first volume, I don't know if it's just that the shark jump, the jump over the hill, or if the falling off the cliff hasn't happened yet. If it's just like a little further down, or not. I'm not convinced that this is actually like a good manga that I want to recommend to people.
All right, I think you said that well. Morgana, what did you think of the Darwin incident?
I agree with both Seamus and Darfox. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. I was also vaguely uncomfortable about race stuff. I do want to, there are a couple things I kind of commend this manga for. I think the idea is interesting. Again, the sci-fi aspect of it, the idea of a human chimpanzee hybrid as a sci-fi element is cool. I don't give a shit about the eco-terrorism. This I just find the plot stressful. I think it's just not. I'm not into that kind of story. I'm not into that kind of thriller, and that's just a me thing. I don't think that's a problem with the book itself. I also would love to just point out. So Charlie is named after Charles Darwin, obviously.
Yep.
Lucy, her name is also intentional. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but I believe the oldest human ancestor found,
Oh, right.
her
They
name
named
is
her
Lucy.
Lucy.
Yes. So I was really tickled by that. That kind of little nod to kind of natural history or like evolution. That made me that made me happy. I like that. Um, Lucy's mom sucks. Hate her.
Yeah.
Charlie's parents are great. I have kind of mixed feelings about Charlie kind of being presented as, I want to say emotionless, but like his character really doesn't, I don't know, like I don't think like chimpanzees are emotional. Like one of the things that makes us so similar to apes is that kind of capacity for emotion and like relationships. I mean, they kind of touch on that with Charlie's mother, his biological mother, at the facility. She obviously kind of has some trauma and some things that she's working through. So it's like I have mixed feelings about the way his Charlie's kind of personality is portrayed. Kind of, I mean, Dar said it right, kind of like Data or Spock, where he's a little bit like not human and coming at things from a different perspective, which is fine. But the takeaway is he's kind of emotionless, and I don't think I buy that. Like I've
Yeah.
seen chimps at the zoo taking care of their babies and you know getting into fights, and it's like this is. I don't know that that's the right characterization just because he's a chimp. Maybe it's not because he's a chimp. Maybe it's just his personality, right? Maybe this is something he actually gets from his father, his biological father. But it's presented as like this is part of what sets him apart from other human kids.
Yeah, obviously Shun Umezawa made that choice to try and really make him stand out from all the other human characters.
It's another.
Not
Yes.
just in looks,
Yeah,
but
sorry.
like, yeah. No, go ahead.
Well, it's another one of those things where it's just like, is this gonna make? Is it? Are they gonna complete this plot thread and make it make sense and make it land, or is it something kind of like bad about the book? Because like Morgana said, one of the things people talk about like chimpanzees and stuff is like they they're a lot like people in the way that some of them are timid, some of them are brash, some of them are playful, some of them are shy. They have very diverse personalities. But the way Charlie is, he's either like the worst read of him is that he's like emotionless. But the best read you could have of him is that he's very cold and analytical. Like that's like the best you could say about the character as far as like his personality goes.
But he does care. He cares about his family. He cares about, you know, I also have this like he's asking Lucy a point about like worrying and like it's a human thing, like worrying about something in the future when it hasn't happened yet. And I'm like, I realize that like most non-human animals probably live really in the present, but I have a hard time believing that in 15 years of life he's never experienced worry or anxiety when he is half human.
Yeah.
I just kind of wonder if you were to make an actual human chimpanzee hybrid. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a lot of assumptions are being made about how chimpanzees work. Again, the apes that humans are related to, they're very similar to humans in a lot of ways. So and probably in a lot of ways we don't even realize as well. So I have some misgivings about the portrayal, especially if we want to, especially if the goal is in any way to garner sympathy for animals. I don't know that it is, but like, especially since we're our villains are eco terrorists. Yeah, I have some mixed feelings about that. So yeah, like Seamus, I'm intrigued, but I don't know if I liked it.
Interesting. What if I told the three of you, I'm totally on board with everything you're saying, and I'm reading everything up to the newest chapters, and I still am asking the same question that
Wait,
you
like,
are
so,
all.
so, like, how many chapters is like, or how many volumes are like what? How much order is this like?
It has 3 volumes out in English, 6 volumes out in Japan.
You've read 6 volumes and you still don't know what it's about, or like, do you like it or
It
not?
just keeps this razor edge of dodginess, or you're just like, is this like
I don't.
problematic?
Well, yeah. I mean, my problem is like I only have my own set of eyes to look at this, right? And like certain things have happened in this manga, which I'm of two eyes. Is this dodgy and problematic? Is this skirting the line? I'm not sure anymore. Like,
Well,
I'm,
if Charlie is an AK, he better be shooting people. Like, that's all I say.
Yeah.
Like, he should like see a bunch of kids eating burgers and be like, right, gun them.
Well, he's specifically taking a stance against militant veganism. I think he's kind of just like, I'm vegan because I'm like whatever. At least in the first volume, I don't know what happens.
That's because he hasn't realized yet. Take him to an old meat factory there, and he'd be like, all right, kill him. Only way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the way we eat meat in this country is pretty nasty. The way we process it. I say as somebody who definitely ate lamb burgers for dinner.
delicious. Dar, you mentioned the thing about like the main antagonist
Yeah, I have him on
being
screen right now.
being the only black character.
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my head, and I don't think there's been another black character.
Yeah, see, that's a problem. I've got a problem with that.
So-
I've decided.
So like there's no way.
I might be wrong.
There's no way around this. Like the page I have on screen right now, it's basically the main antagonist. He's pretending to be a member of the research facility, or it's some sort of like scientist place. I don't know what it is.
Right, making contact with Lucy.
Yeah. And he has just like this really wide smile, and like his eyes are kind of like really intense and wide and open, and he's leaning forward, and everything is communicating like this is like uncomfortable. Like this guy, he's too black and in my face. And I'm just gonna say that I really feel like that's like the text of this story right now in this page. And that just like caused it to question everything else that I was kind of like thinking about, like, human chimpanzee hybrid and all the racist caricatures you could imagine and think about or like that. I don't have faith that the author isn't capable of that. Just because a drawing like this, but there's a lot of like almost every single scene that this guy's in, he has that kind of like just intenseness about him. And I think it might be racist.
Yeah, I mean, you are setting your story in the American Midwest, and there's only one black man. I know that the Midwest is very white, but like it's still the United States, and more and more in modern times, like we are not a homogenous nation. There are plenty of black people. There should be more.
And the reason why I'm harping on this so much is because I actually give the author passing grades on almost every other hot button social issue that they talk about when they talk about like veganism and how like the average person thinks about veganism, and like the conversation they have with the parents and how they talk about being vegan. That like all passed muster to me. That was like, okay, this makes sense, and I think that was written pretty well. Even the way some of the kids start distrusting Charlie after like the terrorist attack, it's sensational and kind of silly, but like that also passes mustard. I was in school when 9/11 happened, and I saw and heard the things that my peers were saying. Like it's just like almost every other hot button issue. That's like kind of American oriented that this manga touches upon. They kind of handle okay, but they don't specifically handle directly any race issues. But it's still here in the text, I feel. It stands out to me. So I guess that's
Yeah, and not just you. I absolutely was thinking about that the whole time. So I would say that's a mark against.
weird book. Among the weirdest books we've read. Not because it's weird in the way that like a Taiyo Matsumoto book is weird, where he has like these really whimsical drawings, and not weird in a way how like En's House, is that the book about the baby and the
En-chan's house.
En-chan's
Yeah.
house? Not weird like that. Weird in that I can't tell if the author is a good writer, and I can't tell if the book is good or not.
Weird and not in the good way.
Is this because this story takes place in the U.S. and not in Japan?
Partly, but that, I think that does add like a level of extra analytical stuff on my side. Whereas if it took place in Japan and if the
Guys, I'm sorry. Dar, sorry to interrupt you, but I
Yes.
just realized there is another black character, and he's an FBI agent.
what does he look like? That's my first question.
Okay, hold on a second. Being an FBI agent doesn't mean he's
Yes.
either. Although I'm
He's not necessarily a good person, but he is like he's on the side of the government, and like
yeah.
He's against this guy who's on screen right now.
yes. Let me see if I can find this for you.
Is Charlie just like the Incredible Hulk, like being
Right.
chased by the government? He's trying to help people out, and the government's after him. The bad guys are after him. Is that just the whole story arc?
Okay, here's my other. So we have another black character, but he is diametrically opposed to this black character. Can't we just have like casually, like in the background? Like Charlie's at school. I don't. I saw any
There
black.
was.
There was.
There was.
Okay.
I wouldn't say many, but like, there's like, oh, there's like someone in the school class like looking at him.
Okay. Like that's better. I feel a little bit better.
Or I have an image taken from one of the thumbnails on Comic Days where you can read this. Dar, I don't know if you want to bring that up.
I'm gonna look at it myself, and I'll think about it. Where is this? Hold on. I have like a billion windows open on my screen, so
The character's name is Morris. He's from Georgia.
all right. That seems a lot more palatable than our other friend. It's just one panel you sent me, but they're looking down while they're driving, maybe looking at a car or like their cell phone or something.
I mean, I guess the point of like the character in this first volume, who's the head of the ALA, he's supposed to be an unhinged character, right? Because he's
Yes.
part of a terrorist group. So
Hold on. Why does being part of a terrorist group make you unhinged?
The
why would it not?
the
Oh,
part,
Dakazu. Oh, we better. Well, you know what? I need to stay in this country, so I'll be quiet.
With respect to Seamus's, I understand what you mean, Seamus. There are circumstances, but yes, this character is clearly supposed to be kind of out there. But, I totally forgot what I was going to say. I lost it. Yeah, it's gone. Sorry, guys.
I would say he's the intensity of like a true believer, like one of those people who like really want to convince you that you need to get Jesus into your life. They're very like coming on strong about it.
I remember what I was going to say. ALA is the American Library Association.
yeah.
And every single time I read it, I was like, no, the ALA is not bombing restaurants
and killing kids.
and killing kids. So they are trying to give kids books.
Dar, I found another image of Morris if you want to take a look.
Yeah, hit me. Oh my god. I have so much windows open that when I click on something, I'm like, where did it go? Where is this?
That's one thing. Like I thought that. I think I mentioned this before. Duncan the Wonder Dog came out years ago, and in that there is like an animal rights terrorist organization, but they're actual animals, as in like there's like a ape and some kind of monkey who go around with like bombing buildings, shooting people. I think a dog murders a baby, and I'm like, yeah, to be honest, I see where you're coming from, dog. That baby probably will eat meat. Probably needs to be killed. Like, I can't fault you for murdering the baby. I'm like, yeah, it's fucked up, but I understand. That book, I think, was also a lot better at, like, that stuff than this. Then again, I don't know, like, I can't remember his name. But, like, that book in general was just, like, incredible from an arts perspective anyway. It's, like, way, way better than anything this will ever come close to. And just even the art here. Like, that book had mad stuff. They'd all, like, a whole aside about how, like, basically Shakespeare got all this stuff from animals. Or, like, a baby pig looking at a nail in the ground trying to figure out what it was. Adam Hines, that was his name. 2011, Jesus.
2011, jeez.
Yeah, it was meant to be like the first of like a 4 or 6 part series. Oh God, it was the first of a 9-part series. Christ. Yeah, the rest of them never came out. 2010 it came out. It's a very good comic. Or is a very good comic. I'm saying, well, 9 volumes, fuck me. He had ambition anyway.
I guess maybe I should, to give you all some context about like what Darwin incident leads up to be. Like, Morgan, you call it like a suspense or a mystery, or maybe that was Dark Fox.
Thriller, I think, yeah.
Yeah, a thriller. It is a thriller in the sense that the terrorist organization are trying to rile shit up because they want Charlie to join their side. And so they're going to constantly be doing a lot of shit around him to possibly get him to join.
I feel like that story, I don't know, does that ever work? Partly because I can't really think of like a group that ever were really that concerned about a particular individual joining them. Because it's like, I don't know. No, I feel like in these stories, it's like, oh, there's something like, they're like a half human, half ape, or they've got like some like weird abilities. Like, why supernatural aspect to it. Rarely you're like, yeah, well, it doesn't really matter all that much. Got like a larger goal.
I don't want to reveal certain things because I don't think they were mentioned in Volume 1, so...
So my issue, I guess, and this is the entire premise of the book. So I don't care about the terrorists. I am interested in the repercussions of, you know, interbreeding. I am curious about the relationships that Charlie makes. But when you have all this action stuff going on, and I feel like that's going to take precedent over the more interesting to me, like, relationship stuff, or like, I mean, maybe the ethics of it will come into play at some point because, you know, he's kind of trying to deal with this terrorist organization, but like, I just don't care. And I also think that, like, I mean, again, it handled veganism really well. I don't know that we need to like demonize vegans of all the groups in the United States. So, like, maybe let's leave the vegans alone.
He should make the Mormon incident manga. No, I'm kidding. Maybe.
I'm just gonna read the copy to Volume 2.
Yeah, do that.
And I'm gonna let you get your takes. This is the cover that you said, like, Charlie has an AK. Charlie, half human.
Charlie
half
got a gun. Is that the...
Charlie's got a gun.
that is a line from something, isn't it?
That's a song.
Janie's Got a Gun
Yeah.
is an Aerosmith song.
Yeah. Charlie, half human, half chimpanzee, has just entered high school. His parents simply want a normal life for him, but the terrorist group known as Animal Liberation Alliance has other ideas. In spite of everything, Charlie's new friend Lucy is doing her best to help him fit in. Until every parent's worst nightmare strikes shrews high.
Oh,
Just
Jesus.
school shooting.
Yeah.
That's another hot button thing about America.
Yep.
It's so like this manga is basically just like Law and Order, where they're just ripping stuff from the headline and making like these trashy TV episodes about like, oh my god, this video game, or like just random ripped from the headline shit.
It's like ripped from the headlines and also Weekly World News with like the chimp boy.
Okay, like a Bat Boy.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Bat Boy.
I mean,
Okay.
basically, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I kind of want to ask a couple spoilers because I don't think I'm going to read any more of this. But I want to hear more about
Okay.
it. Is that
Okay.
okay?
I'm okay with that.
Is
Can I
there
go first?
well? Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. You go first.
Did the school shooter recreate the school in Doom?
School and Doom. I don't
No.
know what that is.
Yeah.
It's a Columbine reference.
Oh. It's a school shooting.
Well, it's the LA doing the school shooting, right? Like the LA.
And pinning it on Charlie.
Damn, Charlie with an AK. Okay, is there a romance between him and Lucy? That's like one of my big takeaways. Or is that just like a friendship?
What do you think, Dar?
I don't know what to think. I think that this guy doesn't really have like.
I was thinking, all right, this lad's like 15. Like, surely the balls have dropped. But then they're like saying he's sterile, so it's like, I don't know, is he just like totally sexless?
I literally don't know what to think.
I mean, yeah, sterile humans can still have sex, so I don't know. Like, I assume that also sterile chimpanzees can. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I don't know. He's the only one of his kind. Who knows?
What do you think?
Like, what is he wanking to? That's the real question.
Humans or chimps?
He didn't.
Or does he pay like some online artist to like make human chimp looking porn for him? Like, if they've got WhatsApp, he can get onto like DeviantArt and be like, "Hey, I'll pay you whatever."
That's true.
Asking the really important questions here on Manga Machinations.
That's what we do.
Oh, he could. Jesus, he should be going to furry conventions.
He'd
be a hit.
He had the pick of the litter. I don't know if this guy wanks or not. Honestly,
The data wank.
He's fully functional.
he
and
was fully
something to
functional.
But
correct.
does he wank, Morgana? Does Data wank?
I don't know, but he fucks.
I 100%. I guarantee you, he wanked as an experiment at least once. He's like, I want to be closer to humans, and humans wank. So, whether he does that out of habit or need, I don't know. Yeah, chimps do and humans do. But yeah. What do I think? What the hell do I know?
I feel like that's kind of nearly the manga. It's like you just throw out like school shooting, and you're like, "What the fuck is this guy going to do with school shooting?" But then it's like, I don't know. Do I really need to read to find out? Like, is it really all that interesting at the end of the day? Not really.
I am, quite honestly, much more invested in whether or not the sterile human Z wanks. Like, I'm not that specific, but like I am much more curious about the again, physical, ethical repercussions of creating human chimpanzee hybrids. I do not care about this terrorism plot.
All right.
Okay, but the panel I have on screen is the little chimp dude like blocking stabs and punches from this guy, and there is a little bit of comedy in that. At least it was to me.
Yeah, I love the implication that because he's a hybrid, he's better than both humans and chimps at everything. Like, the hybrids are better at, because they talk about how, like,
The donkey.
mules, are stronger or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Why are you still reading this manga after 6 volumes? You're like, I don't really know, do I like it or not?
Sunk cost fallacy. I'm still waiting to get to the end to I guess, put my final judgment on it.
Could you not just wait to the ends and then just be like, look at the last volume and be like, okay.
No, I'm still invested enough to go along for the ride. I guess I'm glad that we read it on this podcast because now it has truly confused you three as much as it has confused me as I've been reading it in Japanese.
All right, I'm calling the ending to this manga. Charlie does something really heroic at the end and kills himself, but he stops the terrorist threat for once and for all. And then it's like, wow, isn't that really sad that Charlie had to die? But at least now people know that he's a hero. And then cut to like a few weeks later, and Lucy's actually pregnant. There's gonna be another human Z, Charlie's child. That's gonna be the ending. I'm calling it now.
But he's sterile.
Well,
It's
no,
gonna be a
it's
miracle.
like it's the
Life finds a way.
reverse of what the father did. So, like, they impregnate her with a chimpanzee sperm.
Well, it has to be.
It- like-
It has to be Charlie's thing, or else like it would be like whatever.
I guess, yeah, probably does have to be Charlie's sperm.
Charlie sperm.
Surely, if they're medically advanced enough to do like a human ape chimpanzee thing, they can unsterilize. I don't know, human Z sperm.
Yeah. Also, that doctor is on the lam, so like he's gonna reappear in the manga if he hasn't already for Dagzu, where Dagzu's at.
He was like, "Here, Charlie, here's your brother and your sister.
Right, yeah.
There's a whole family of you."
I feel bad for Charlie's biological mother. This is my takeaway. I feel bad for the real chimp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. That chimp had a rough time. That's really sad for the chimp. Did that chimp consent to that experiment?
What did she write, or what do you think she wrote? In that one panel where they're like,
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out.
I have an idea, but I don't want to prejudice you.
I didn't look at it that much, honestly. I kind of skimmed through that part.
I thought it was like I am, and then I couldn't figure out the rest of it.
I think it's worried. That's what I was like.
Actually, I'm going to try and go back to that page.
It's location 124, Dark.
Yeah. All right, last page. We're going to be showing this manga because I've already shown like this might be the fourth spread I've shown. I am no, sorry, 1MW03N. IWM. I am with baby. They're pregnant again.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to reveal that.
For fuck's sake, Doc. So none of us are going to read any more of these. Just let us know.
Somebody listening to this
Listeners
podcast,
might, yeah.
they might want to look into this.
All right, you gotta let us know later if she's worried or not.
Let's just say some predictions that you have made are definitely true.
Cool. I don't know that's a good thing.
Let's go ahead and end our conversation on the Darwin incident. Dar, you said you don't want to read any more of this.
No, as much as I thought the manga was interesting and surprised by certain things it pulled off, I hearing from you that it just kind of continues this this kind of dodginess, kind of weird, interesting manga thing. I kind of like whatever. I'd rather read about it later when it's done.
Okay.
Okay. What about you, Morgana?
Yeah, I'm not really feeling this one. I think I'm glad I read it. It was interestingly strange, but I don't need any more.
All right.
I do want to know what the chimp says though, in those cards.
Seamus, you do not want to read any more of this.
No, if you just tell me when it ends, and I'll check if Wikipedia has a summary, and I think that'll be about it for me.
For once, I'm with Seamus on this one. Could be the Wikipedia summary.
All right. Well, let's move along from the Darwin incident. And let's talk about our final manga, Real, by Takehiko Inoue. Real is a manga about basketball. Takehiko Inoue is known for his major basketball series Slam Dunk, beloved classic manga. He did a manga about basketball called Buzzer Beater after Slam Dunk. And I think he was in the middle of doing Vagabond when he started Real. This started in 1999. Let me get the localization for Real. 1 second. Let's see. Touch Up and Lettering by Walden Wong. Cover and graphic design by Yukiko Kamematsu Whitley. Editor Andy Nakatani. Is there a translation credit?
No, I noticed that. I think there's a studio or something that gets the copyright for the translation. I can't remember, but it was very hard to find.
Translation rights arranged with IT Planning Incorporated. All rights reserved. Wow, they did not want to get a named credit for the translator. Interesting.
This has also been in print for a long time in English, so it not that it predates crediting translators, but I wonder if it's just kind of partially a product of age.
Oh yeah, I mean, you read in this volume 1, it reads like an older localization for sure. Let's see. Yeah, Real started in 1999 in Japan, ran in Young Jump magazine. It has 15 volumes total right now. It's still ongoing. Though I'm not sure the last time Takehiko Inoue put out a chapter of Real. Oh wait, he just started putting out new chapters of Real. So it just came off of hiatus again. Let me read the copy. A motorcycle accident, bone cancer, a speeding truck crashing into a boy on a stolen bicycle. Tragic life-changing events turned the worlds of 3 young men upside down. These 3 very different personalities have only one thing in common: their passion for basketball. So yeah, the story centers around 3 characters. One is Nomiya. He's a young man who's just been kicked out of school. He's a former member of the basketball team. You also have Takahashi, the captain of said basketball team, who gets into an accident and becomes paralyzed. And then, what was the name of the guy in the wheelchair? God, I'm so bad with names.
I can't remember. I just keep thinking of Vince because
Kiyoharu Togawa.
okay.
Kiyoharu. And yeah, so this is Takehiko Inoue. I guess the main theme of this is he covers wheelchair basketball a lot, but it's mostly a drama about three peoples who's they love basketball, but they all have different tragedies in their life that are affecting their young lives. I guess we'll start with Darfox on this one. Darfox, what did you think of Takehiko Inoue's Real?
It was really nice revisiting an Inoue book. The art and the character work was immediately appealing, immediately fun to read. The subject matter is it's not as fun and poppy as something like Slam Dunk, which Slam Dunk starts out a lot more. I guess I'll call it cartoony, a lot less realistic. By the end of Slam Dunk, it has a really, really striking, close to realistic art style, and this obviously picks up from there. All the characters, they just look like their own people, in really impressive ways. And the main guy, or at least the one we start off with, who's being kicked out of school, his story is, he's such a dumbass, right? But you could see he feels bad about the bad shit he did. But I don't know if he's actually making it better or not. the way he's trying to make it up to the young girl he hurt for the rest of her life. He fucked her up because he took her on a ride on a motorcycle, and then
they got in an accident.
Yeah. And he got off with just a scar on his arm or something like that. So he got injured, but not really, really harshly injured. And I think she lost the full use of both her legs, I think.
Yes.
So it's really terrible for her, completely uprooting her life. And it's played for comedy, but in a semi-tragic way that I appreciated. The way he's just kind of barging into her hospital room and trying to make it up to her. He's so buffoonish that he doesn't really know how. He doesn't really know how to help the situation. But it has this kind of sweet element to it, so I ended up really liking that character. And of course, he loves basket. It's that's the one thing. His one big regret of leaving school is that there's not a lot of public basketball courts. The best way to play basketball is to go to school and play basketball at school. So he has his own set of regrets there as well. And the way he starts interfacing with the other character who does play basketball on the wheelchair. It's just through their love of basketball. It's just guys are easy. Guys, we just you like basketball? Yeah, I like basketball. And that's how you need sometimes. And this manga kind of portrays that in a kind of funny / endearing way. So yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, it was really nice reading a Inoue book. His talents are evident immediately.
Very nice. Morgana, let's go to you next.
So fun fact, this is my first Inoue manga.
Oh, I thought you read some Vagabond.
No, I've not read any Vagabond, and I've not read any Slam Dunk. I've seen a little bit of the Slam Dunk anime, but very little. So this is my first. I flipped through Vagabond. I know what it looks like, and I know that Inoue is a great artist. It was really nice to experience it, though. I really, really liked Real. I love Nomiya. The protagonist at the start. I love his dumbassness. I love his. He's kind of a. He's kind of a Kuwabara. I feel like Inoue makes Kuwabara characters.
Yeah.
But more so, He's definitely got some honor things going on, but also he's such kind of a fuck up. Kiyoharu in the he's a lot of fun. He's also I love how we're gonna take this guy who, he had bone cancer, he's missing a leg, he plays wheelchair basketball, and we're gonna make him a stone cold fucking fox. That boy is cute. He is so pretty. And
He's the
especially
Sasuke.
yeah, and especially compared to Nomiya, who's kind of like goofy looking. He's where he has like his Kobe Bryant afro going on, and everybody's always making fun of him, and he's not like stereotypically handsome. So you have that dichotomy between the two. Plus their personalities are kind of clash. Yeah, love this bromance. Love this bromance that is brewing. So far, the other kid who gets into the accident,
The bully.
the bully, yeah, I hate him. I don't know that he didn't deserve to get paralyzed, but I hate him. He's terrible. He's terrible to his mother. Just like having a hard time with that. But in general, like I don't know. There's something just very appealing, but it's very simple. The story is in some ways very easy. Like just some dudes playing basketball. Like Darfox was saying, like, you like basketball? Here we go. We like basketball. But it's so beautifully rendered, and there is a lot of feelings. A lot of very manly feelings. Lots of manly pain. Lots of honor. Yeah, it was super enjoyable reading this one. I read this one last. I read them in order of shortest to longest, and this one was the longest. Kind of glad I saved it. It was an interesting sandwich. I did March Comes in Like a Lion, then Darwin Incident, then this. It was like two really good bookends with like a weird middle.
We've done that before in a triple dip.
Yeah. So yeah, I love it. I love it in a way, like in the late 90s was like, you know what we should talk about? Wheelchair basketball. Like, again, super niche. I mean, I know the man loves basketball, obviously. But he got really into this particular thing, and I kind of like the way the way the text discusses disability. The way that it handles, I don't think like obviously these characters are going through their struggles with having a disability, but it's not necessarily we're not meant to feel pity for them, right? Like, we're not like, oh, the sad guy in the wheelchair, he's, whatever. It's very much, even Kiyoharu like plays up the idea of like people feeling bad for him, which I think is really funny. Yeah, I think he does a really good job of handling that. Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot.
Very nice. All right, what about you, Seamus? What did you think of Real?
I think it was a bit like March Comes in Like a Lion, where it's like very setup heavy. Or I was kind of like, all right, let's kind of get going now. Let's just I don't know, drop this volume and start volume 2 and just go from there.
You should read volume 13.
Why should we volume 13? Jesus Christ.
Skip that far.
Well,
The reason I say this, Seamus, is because volume 13 is about pro wrestling. The entire volume is dedicated to professional wrestling.
A bit random, but okay.
does seem random or right?
What?
I was saying, that does seem a bit random or right.
Is it because they go to a wrestling show or something? Like, well, like,
So
I
the
haven't heard
bully
of wheelchair
kid,
wrestling.
the bully kid who gets paralyzed at the end of this first volume, right? He goes through a lot of rough stuff. And at his facility, he meets this professional wrestler who is also going through rehab for an injury.
Interesting.
And this professional wrestler does his last match despite not fully recovered. And so that volume is dedicated to this man being his heel wrestler persona, putting on a match, inspiring Takahashi as he watches.
Wow. With the Shibata.
It was not Shibata.
Shibata wrestling in '99, maybe.
But he wasn't injured around then, though. Was it?
No, that was 2017.
Yeah.
Well, he was injured, but he didn't get a life-threatening injury where they had to like take him to hospital, and he might have died.
Well, when the Manga Splaining podcast covered Real, they covered this volume 13.
And
And
they just skipped to volume 13.
They skipped the 13.
But isn't one of those guys into wrestling?
Yes, that's why.
Yeah.
Wait, there's 3 of us that are into wrestling. We should have skipped to volume 13.
That's not how Triple Dip works.
Psycho selection.
Yeah, David Brothers, one of the hosts of Manga Splaining, really likes wrestling, so it was his pick to read volume 13 of Real.
It's very bold. Very bold decision. But, I mean, it sounds like an awesome volume. Like, I want to read it.
I mean, I posted a link to that episode of Manga Splaining, and their show notes are very, they're very good and detailed. So you get some images here of like the match that happens. You get to see Takahiko Inoue draw pro wrestling. That's why I say Seamus should jump and read volume 13. Yeah, everything you all said about Real, I agree with. It's very good.
I will say, Morgana not liking the bully character. Inoue is pretty good about writing a piece of shit character that eventually becomes one of the boys.
I mean, this is my Zuko moment, right? Like, this is what happened to me with him, too. I was like, oh, this guy sucks. And my husband turned to me and he goes, he's going to be your favorite character. And I was like, fuck you, you don't know me. And then, like, 5 episodes later, I was like, fuck you, how did you know?
I haven't read Real in a long time, so I'm trying to think. Again, much like March Comes Like a Lion, like, there's a lot of hiatus and breaks. But I think the story actually, it's kind of interesting because this volume 1 opens with Nimoya, the punk dude, the delinquent, the Kuwabara. I feel like it focuses on him the least. And it actually focuses on Takahashi, the bully that gets paralyzed the most. So they all get, it all just jumps to like each of them covering a lot of things. With the bully Takahashi, the story focuses on his recovery and him like eventually getting to the point where he might actually try and pursue basketball in a wheelchair. With Nomiya, it's about him doing basketball again and trying out for, like, I think professional leagues as an adult. And getting to that point where he can, like, actually become, like, a player again. And with Kiyoharu, it focuses on him getting into, like, the more elite level of wheelchair basketball. In this first volume, they're doing the hustling on the street court. And they come across the one other player in a wheelchair that schools him, and he's like, I've never lost to somebody in wheelchair basketball. That person is part of like Olympic team. So he gets into like a more professional level of wheelchair basketball and pursuing that. That's what the focus story is on. The story focuses on. I'm tired. We've been going for a while. You can tell. Mix up my words.
It's nice seeing these basketball shots again, and the crazy.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Crazy speed lines.
We didn't look at the other volumes, where the story of Real goes, obviously. And like I said, I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember Takahiko Inoue is like, this is his drama series. He's trying to write a lot of human drama through these characters and this situation and this setup. And I can see a lot of that influencing what he put into the first Slam Dunk movie that he did last year. I guess 2 years ago, because that's when it came out in Japan. 2022. We'll definitely have to watch the first Slam Dunk when it gets like either a streaming or a Blu-ray release.
Your favorite movie?
I did say on this podcast I did not enjoy that movie. I would love to hear Darfox and Seamus's take. And Morgana's, of course, but Darfox and Seamus have read
Right.
Slam Dunk. We did a retrospective on it, so... Don is upset. I know Don really likes the first Slam Dunk. And yeah, all the changes they made for like the dramatics of the first Slam Dunk movie, I disassociated from it. It did not connect to me.
It's okay. We all come in. We all have a chance at judging it for ourselves.
Now you just wait till the Blue Giant anime movie is going to be available and we can watch that. Oh boy,
that's gonna be a good time. Dog's Trigon moment. I really want to watch that one too. I really wanted to hear the music in that one.
Oh yeah, it's so good. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other things to mention about Real, but
sometimes a book's just good, and there's really like nothing else you need to say. Like
yeah,
and I feel bad because we spend a lot of time like talking about how the Darwin incident's fucking weird, and giving it like so much more airtime than Real, which like deserves more airtime. But it's also just like, I mean, just read the damn book. Like, just look at it. Like, just read it. Go.
Yeah.
Also read Slam Dunk. And read Vagabond. And, read most of Takahiko, Ue, his manga it's almost all... I don't think he's done a bad manga. I don't know, like, what he did previous, like, before Slam Dunk, but... Yeah, Don is saying read Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk is one of the few manga that I can say, without any hesitation, is a masterpiece. I really think that manga is like one of the best manga ever. Not just sports manga, just straight up manga. Yeah, I'm just like... It's been so long since we talked about Vagabond too, so... And since I've read Vagabond, so I guess that's kind of tough.
That's good. Like,
I guess
Go ahead.
The one problem I can say about, like, Real is that it's not finished, and, it's the same problem with Vagabond. It's also not finished. And Takahiko Inoue has taken, like, lots of time off.
I mean,
for both of them.
He directed a whole ass movie.
He did. He's been doing other things, obviously. Don says Vagabond is beautiful, but didn't excite her as much as Slam Dunk or Real. That's because there are no delinquents in Vagabond.
Yeah, that is a mark against.
Samurai are not delinquents.
I was going to say, surely Ronin are the original delinquents.
They don't have the pompadour. There's no pompadour. Or fro.
I don't know.
Don's going on getting ready to write in the chat. This is great.
This is a very interesting philosophical question you bring up, Seamus. Are Ronin the original delinquents? You know what
Surely
I find...
delinquents are just like weakened shonen people, because they're like, oh, we can't have them killed because they're teenagers. Where Roni can be like, fuck it, they can murder away. Like, they're actually rebelling against society when they like cut off Nobunaga's head.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like the final form of your average Yankee is like becoming a Ronin.
Yeah, but part of the whole delinquent thing is that like, the moment somebody pulls out a knife or something, they're like, oh, bro, why you gotta ruin it like that? Or like, like, killing and maiming is rarely ever a part of it.
Wasn't it the link with the kill Shinzo Abe? Was it? I don't think he was.
No, it was like he was like a very angry guy about the whole fucking church shit.
Where's his manga?
Now, where's his story?
Wait for Imai Arata to write about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The F guy.
Yeah, that'd be
Apparently this is out of left field, but there was a Kamen Rider series called Kamen Rider Black Sun, I think. It has one of the leads from What Did You Eat Yesterday?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so apparently that Kamen Rider series, and I only know this from like seeing like some sort of YouTube comments or something like that. So it isn't well sourced. This is just I heard this, and I'm saying it now on the podcast. The plot of that Kamen Rider series is actually like really eerily similar to like the Shinzo Abe like assassination. Like there is something in that story about like assassinating the prime minister, and I think it's because he has ties to like a cult or something like that. So just unironically, that became prophetic, or coincidentally, I mean that Kamen Rider show became prophetic.
Wow. Wait a minute. I just looked at our record time. I didn't realize we've been going so long. Holy crap.
Oh, I realized.
We really did spend a long time on the Darwin incident.
Because it's
Wow.
fucking weird.
The Darwin incident is like a knot, and we had to just like untie it to talk about it. Like stuff like Rio, it's like a tapestry. It's like it's all there. We don't have to do any work at it.
What a beautiful analogy, Darfox.
I know, I got a beautiful mind. And a beautiful
true.
face, and a beautiful sense of humor,
And the beautiful hair.
and a beautiful hair.
And so modest.
Yes.
Darfox Too Handsome Fund. Okay. Let's we need to end because it's very late. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. Dar, you would read more real.
Yes.
Morgana, you would read more real.
Sure would.
Seamus, you should look at volume 13 of Real.
I might look at volume 2.
Okay. Okay, so we have talked about all three of our manga. Very quickly, let's do a quick ranking. Darfox, how do you rank these three manga?
Ooh, March Comes Like a Lion is number one. Probably just it's kind of cheating because I know where it goes, but it's such an emotional story and it hits really well. Rio was really solid work, really good work, and I want to see more of it. So that's 2. 3 is Darwin because it's weird and kind of interesting, but just mostly weird. I know.
I like how we've come to this decision that the Darwin incident is just weird.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. You can't tell if it's sketchy or not.
Darfox, I match your rankings. I love March Comes In Like a Lion. I love shogi manga, so that gets my number 1. 2 is Real, and 3 is the Darwin incident. I do not think the ranking is the same for Morgana, though.
How did you guess?
Yours is Real, then March, then Darwin.
How did you know?
And then it's the same as Seamus.
Delinquents.
Actually, let's confirm Seamus's.
Darwin, number 1, right?
I go March, Real. I don't know. Darren is on like a I don't know what to make of this. Like,
A separate island.
I guess
Wow.
it's number 3 because I'm just like, I don't really want to read any more of it. It's like the neutralness of it is interesting in its unusual, but not interesting in like, oh, I want to read more of this manga. It's more like I'd be curious to see like where this goes. I don't actually want to read any of it.
Well, good thing you got me, because I'll be reading it.
The sacrifice.
That I always do. I'm surprised Seamus didn't put real above March. Why is it?
I think with March, I remember liking it more. So I think it's more that.
Seamus, that's very un-Seamus of you to like base something based on like your past self. You're a different person now.
I think part of it is like, I don't know, like Real was okay. It was like, they were both like very like introductory kind of volumes, but like there was a bit more interesting in March where I was like, oh yeah, this is the kind of stuff I think I remember liking when I read this years ago. Where with Real, I was just like, yeah, it's alright, but I don't know, there's nothing here where I'm just like, oh, definitely like stand out, I guess.
We gotta get Seamus to read that volume 13 about pro wrestling. Then get his take. Alright, so there you go. There's our rankings for this triple dip. It's now time to end our podcast. Thank you so much to Darfox, Morgana, and Seamus for joining me this week. Big shout out to Don and Cliff and Tyler, and I think Chris from Canada was in our chat as well. People, and also Amber for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MangaMacTV. If you enjoyed Manga Machinations podcast, please support us by subscribing, reviewing, and rating us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. Buy us a coffee to support us. Head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Come join our Discord server. We're still playing Mahjong every Monday. Head over to discord.me/mangamac to join. Send us emails over to mangamachinations@gmail.com. Follow us on social media at MangaMac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. And that's for Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, all the socials. And you can follow me on social media at DocZoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. Follow Morgana at Morgana Relina. And follow Seamus at Seamus2389. Seamus is spelled without an H. Alright everyone, thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye bye.